Hello, it's Leah. This is season 3 of the holidays. I'm just calling them seasons now, even though there are no seasons. Anyway, just thought I'd catch you up on how things are going, introduce this trip a little bit. Anyway, I'm in a hotel in Houston. This is actually my 3rd stay in this hotel. We'll come back to that in a minute. So it's the hotel I stayed in last year when I came, and anyway, let's just start at the start. So last year I come to Houston. At the end of my holiday, I meet up with one of my cousins, and we have a talk. Anyway, he's just recently got engaged, and he was like, hey, do you think you and your mum would be able to come over for the wedding? And I was like, yeah, man, of course we can come to the wedding. Anyway, so we are in Houston now for the wedding, mum and I both. So we travelled separately. Mum left a week before me and went through absolutely monster day. She went like Adelaide to Melbourne, then on like the red eye, then Melbourne to Auckland with Air New Zealand, and then Auckland, Houston, and then in the Bush airport had a 4-hour very chaotic stay where she couldn't find her bag before she transferred to a flight to St. Paul, because she was going to St. Paul to hopefully see Flower play game. Anyway, she did pretty much she's repeated a bit of my trip from last year. So she went St. Paul, Chicago, and then Houston. Now she's in Houston. And then the week after that, on the Wednesday, I ended up flying to Melbourne late Wednesday afternoon. I was going to take the bus over in the morning because I like that bit of slow travel before I go away. It really helps me to unwind and relax a bit, but I have too much going on, and I cannot do that. I still have some work to do that I'm doing on the Wednesday morning. So instead of doing that, last minute on the Monday or whatever, I book a flight to go late Wednesday afternoon to Melbourne to spend the night in a hotel airport that I'd already booked. Which, by the way, there's a lot of road work and development going on at Melbourne Airport. So if you are staying at a hotel there and you are staying at an Ibis, which I was, make sure you go to the right one, because I accidentally was going towards the Ibis or Ibis budget, but I needed to go to the Styles one. And because of all the road work that's going on, when I realised I was going towards the wrong one, it was not easy to just turn around and go to the other one. Anyway, what is supposed to be a quick 5 or 6 minute walk was about 40 minutes of adventurous misdirection before I finally got into my room. Anyway, I do get into my room. We're back. Ready for a room tour. We're in Melbourne now, overnighting at the Ibis Styles. It's a bathroom. I'm talking into this mirror because I think this is the only mirror in here. Anyway, this is the front door. Oh my gosh, can you believe I haven't locked it? What am I doing? Hanging space. Iron. No thanks. My stuff. Little coffee station. Actual milk, not those little tiny things. Bed, but this is as light as this room gets. Again, there's no light up there. I assume that during the day, obviously, this massive there's a massive mirror here. This massive window probably does some good, but obviously it's not daytime now. Anyway, look, it's a nice room, but these 2 drinks just cost me $13.80. Can you believe that? I cannot. When he said the price to me, I was like, huh? But anyway, it is what it is. I didn't even like to drink Coke products, by the way. It's the only thing they had. The next day, get up reasonably early, make my way to the international terminal this time at Melbourne Airport, which I think is 4. Maybe I came in at 4 and I need to go to 2. I think I need to go to 2. But because it's the same one where I flew out of Air New Zealand last time, I know how to find their kiosk, which there's only like a handful of them, and it's not particularly well signed. It's quite hard to find. Anyway, I know how to do it this time. So I go through, check my stuff, go through to the international part, before I get to immigration. On the way though, because it's like, I don't know, about 10:30 or something, I'm like, hang on. It's about like 10 or 10:30. I don't know what time it is anyway. I haven't had any coffee. I'm pretty hungry. I'm like, I stopped at a place to get a coffee. The line's long. It's not moving. I'm like, ugh, go to the next one. Looks pretty nice. There's a really long line for the cakes that are in there. I don't want a cake. But I do want a coffee and a croissant. But it was a cornetto because it was an Italian cafe. Anyway, I order it to go. And my cornetto is to go. But my coffee is in a cup, and I don't want to say, in a mug, and I don't want to say to her, oh, can you just pour this into a cup, because now that feels a bit rude. And I'm like, you know what, also take a couple of minutes and just enjoy this. But if you're like me, you can't really just enjoy it, because you need to make sure that the gate exists before you can relax. It's like, I need to know exactly where I'm going, and I need to be at the gate, and I need to sight the gate, and I need to know how far I am away from the gate at all times. So yeah, anyway, it was a really relaxing coffee and cornetto. Well, I was like, look, it's fine, Leah, you know it's not that far. You've seen the signs. It says how many minutes walk it is, and you've still got over an hour. Just relax. And as you know, when you tell an unrelaxed person to relax, they just, oh, thank you so much, amazing. Anyway, then what I think that I'll do is I'm like, oh, I'll talk about this flight experience, because they've got premium economy, right? And I know that for me, when I was looking at different ones to buy, seeing other people talk about the flight experience was really helpful to me in deciding which ones were a better option for me. So I think, oh, excellent, I'll do this. Also, I have chosen to fly premium economy in New Zealand because I did it last year and it was really great. You do arrive, well, I did arrive feeling a bit better. Also, I'm flying out on a Thursday because it was significantly cheaper. This is the thing that I like to do, and it's not a great hack or anything, alright? Probably heaps of people do it. If you don't use an agent who already takes care of you with these sort of things, is I go on something like Webjet, they have a look at the prices they have on there, and then I go to the airline, and then I put in the dates that I'm kind of interested in, and then I see like what's the best day for me to fly out on. Now, one of the things I do know that you're supposed to do is in between searches is clear your cache, because if you don't, the website learns it's getting smarter, but it understands then that these are your locked in dates, which is why sometimes you'll find if you look in the morning a flight might be like $1,500, and then you look in the afternoon and it's like $1,900. It's because it's getting an understanding that those are your really preferred dates. Yeah, anyway, they're just exploiting us. Anyway, so I go down to the I see that Air New Zealand is significantly cheaper for premium economy. And then I also see that this is a great thing about Air New Zealand though, is when you put in your preferred departure and return date, it gives you a matrix, and then you can see very easily, if I leave on this date, and you can see what the price is going to be. And on that, it's very clear that if you depart and return on a Thursday, it's more than $1,000 cheaper. Anyway, so I return and whatever on a Thursday. I just had to get my drink bottle because I'm sick again and I need to drink. And yeah, it's true. I've turned into a Yeti wanker. That's right. I was very unprepared for this trip, like super unprepared for it. I knew it was coming, but I was mentally unprepared for it. I was worried about potential restrictions coming into the States, potentially things getting cancelled at the last minute, and also just things were really hectic at work. One of the few things that was on my list to do was to get a bigger drink bottle, because the Herschel drink bottle I have is great, but it's a bit smaller. It's only about 500 mils. This one's about 750. I would have liked a 1 litre one, but I couldn't find it. Anyway, the point is that I am a Yeti wanker. And also, guess who else is a Yeti wanker? Mum. Also, I don't know if you know this, but the Yeti ones are designed in Texas, but they're not made here. I think it was written on here somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, maybe it was on one of the shops I saw. They're designed in Texas, but made somewhere else. So if you were an American and you wanted one, I hope you already got it, because you're gonna get some tariff uptakes, and they're already expensive. So anyway, that's beside the point. So anyway, I booked my flight to leave on the Thursday. Mum's leaving the Thursday before me, and then we are departing on the same Thursday on the same flight. So even though we book separately, we book our returns at the same time and allocate our seats and everything. Excellent, we're good to go. Anyway, so on the leg from Melbourne to Auckland, I board the flight as you normally do, with this idea that maybe, you know, I'll do a little bit of a recording of the seat space. Right, look, it's not going to be as glamorous as like when people do business or first, because they're like, look at the million features we have. The big feature in premium economy is that there's more room than regular economy. That's the feature. Anyway, but I go to get in my seat, and there's a lady there. And I say to her, excuse me, I think you're in my seat. And she says, I was put in this seat. And I go, okay, cool, but like, that's my seat. And then she says, no, that she was assisted into that seat. And I say, excellent. Well, I don't know where I'm supposed to sit now. Anyway, so it's a very full plane. There's heaps of people coming through. And so, and I do get to speak to a air hostess, I say, or air host. I don't know what they're called now. Sorry. If my term is misogynistic, or what's the female hating, the self-hating one? Misandric? Anyway, if it is, I'm sorry. I speak to the attendant, and I say to her, look, I think that this person I say, this lady has been assisted into my seat. Have I been allocated another seat? That's what I ask her. I don't say, move her out of my seat, even though internally I am not great, because I don't really like change. If you saw from last year when they said they weren't flying out of Chicago anymore, and they're like, don't worry, we'll just get you on another flight, and I was like, absolutely you will not. I had a little mini meltdown. I was like, no, I'm being very cool about this, because she's an older lady and she's been assisted into that seat, and I assume for some reason all I need to know is what my allocated seat is now, so that I can begin to process the change. And then she talks to the lady and she's like, but I need an aisle seat. And I was like, hey Sam, that's why I requested one and booked it. But again, I don't know why she's been assisted into the seat, so I don't say get her out of my seat. I just say, what seat do I need to sit in? Anyway, they move her to another seat. Not at my insistence, but they move her to another seat. I think it's so that she wanted an aisle seat so she could go to the toilet easier. They moved her to a seat which had better access to the toilet. And always in the front row where you've got heaps more room to step over people, and it was right next to the toilet. So I think that made it a lot easier for her. But then of course, right, I don't want to start filming anything in my seat, because I don't want these people to be like, look at this bitch, fake influencer, thinking that she's like so important doing her film after she's kicked this older lady. This nana, she's kicked her out of her seat. It's like, I fucking kick her out of the seat. But anyway, I don't do any of it. I don't give you any of the experience of premium economy on that first leg, because I'm too embarrassed to now. Like, quite frankly, I was going to be embarrassed anyway, but now I'm more embarrassed. I don't do anything. Anyway, the flight from Melbourne to Auckland, because it's only like 3 or 4 hours, I think it's about 4 hours, that plane is not as fancy as the ones on the second leg. It's still fine, right? Like, it's still got plenty of room. You do have a lot more, like, your seat space is wider, but it also has like hard barriers on the side, so you're not physically touching other people. Your tray comes from inside the chair, so that, you know, like, you go choo-choo. Maybe I've got a photo. If I have, I'll lay them over the top. But the screen is not as good, and there was one time I tried to pause it while I was watching a movie. It didn't work, and I was like, flip's sake. I watched The Corpse Bride, I think. Anyway, you'll see when I lay in the photos what I was watching. I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get my finger to touch on the right thing, and guess what? I just got these nail stability. We'll talk about this in the Houston video, but this is going to make it even harder to work the screens, because I can't put my fingers the way that I need to. Anyway, this might have been a mistake, and by might I mean absolutely was. Anyway, so look, it's a pleasant enough experience to get something nice to eat. I'll show you a picture of it here, I guess. I say I guess because I can't remember if I took a video or a picture, but I think it was a picture. And then it is a pretty short flight. But because we are delayed in taking off, I'm like, holy shit, this means obviously we're going to land later. And then how, like, the last time that I did this transfer, it was really like there was a lot of people at immigration, because you have to go through their immigration bit to rescan your bag, all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, man, if I have to wait there, I'm gonna miss my connecting flight. Anyway, luckily I get there. There's like 3 people, so it's fine. And now I go through pretty quickly. Anyway, then I go to the lounge. I'm just sitting there waiting. Also, this trip I've decided to test compression socks to see if they help with the travel or not, because I don't know if they do or not. I just thought I'd give them a try. Anyway, so I've worn them on the first leg, and then obviously I'm going to wear them on the longer leg, and I'll get a better understanding of that. But what I've done though is they're not, I'm wearing leggings, but they're not under my leggings, because it was a warm day in Melbourne, and I was like, if I have to wear these socks pulled all the way up when I'm walking around and doing my stuff and things, that my legs are going to get really hot. Anyway, so they're scrunched down 80s style, and then before I board the flight, I pull them up over the top of my over the top of my leggings, which is also a different look, right? Also, I don't really care. It's not a fashion show, right? But when I am in the Auckland waiting lounge, I do see a lot of cool people with also compression socks. And by cool people, I mean older ladies, which, and I'm a part of that gang, I guess, because I'm also wearing compression socks. Mine are cooler though. They just have standard colour ones, but mine are better. Anyway, so I think, you know what, maybe I'll try to film some of this boarding or whatever. Anyway, I forget that that's my plan, so I don't do any of it while I'm getting into my seat. Then I go to get into my seat, and some lady's like, oh, I need to put my bag up there. And I was like, yeah, well, so do I. And then it's like, there's not heaps of room. And I'm like, why isn't there room though, right? Because here's the thing. In that premium economy, there's only like, if there's 4 seats and then 2 on each side, there's really only, each overhead container basket thing is for 2 people. So ours should not be full if it only has her bag in it. And this is the thing, if you're only supposed to take 1 bag, 1 carry-on, whatever, and then if you take anything else, how you're supposed to put under the chair in front of you, or whatever you're supposed to do with it, how the flip is it full? Because it shouldn't be, right? Anyway, I find an empty one. I don't know how. Just jam my shit in there. Anyway, I'm back. I've just had to charge the battery a little bit. Anyway, so I get my stuff in. I take my seat. I am in an aisle seat. And again, right, I already feel like I'm too late to even try this experience of showing you what premium economy looks like, because it does, nothing has worked the way that I thought it would. So I think I film a little bit of like the touchscreen. This one is much nicer. It's much more responsive than the one on the short trip, where whenever I try to pause it or go back a little bit, it takes me back like either, there's like really only 3 points in the movie that I can start. Anyway, it works much better. Again, they give you the menu, and this, on this flight though, because it is longer, you can get extra snacks if you want them, or not, but I'm not, because I'm pretty full. I did forget to say this earlier, but when I was flying out from Adelaide, I could go into the Virgin Lounge, and I thought I'll just quickly go in there and have a quick look, and I got a little snack while I was in there, some couscous or something. Anyway, I don't know, here's a picture of it. That's pretty nice, but like, you know, just, it's on a snack plate. I just get a little snack there and just to try it out. Anyway, then my niece Ava is meeting me at the airport, so she's there, and so I go out and see her. And then while we're sitting there, she hasn't eaten that day, and it's like, you know, 4:30 or 4:30. So we get a coffee, and she gets a wrap from the shop, and then I see there's like a hawker place there, so I get a couple of spring rolls because I feel like on the plane I'm gonna get a snack, but it's a snack, right? It's not a meal, and then this way I don't have to worry about food, like, because I've eaten some food and I've gotten a snack. Anyway, the meal choice that I get, and I only get a meal choice because I'm flying on business, right? If you are not in business, you have to, if you want food, you have to buy it. And I think they have like sandwiches or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, and she's like, one of the choices is like a schnitzel. And I'm like, you know what, let's do it. Anyway, it's a decent serve too. So by the time I eat that, look, and it's pretty nice. It's not crispy, of course not. It's like, it's made on a plane, so they're just heating it up. But anyway, by the time I eat that, on top of my snack, and then my snack spring rolls, and then this, I am stuffed. And I'm like, excellent, I definitely don't need to buy any snacks. Anyway, so the flight was pretty comfortable. I get a bit of sleep on the flight, which is good. The first thing I do actually is I watch Conclave with Rafe Fiennes. Is it Rafe or Joseph? No, it's Rafe Fiennes. It is so good. It's so good that I'm like, I don't really know if I want to watch anything else. Like, I don't think I'm going to watch something better than this. I do not. So then I do try to go to sleep. Doesn't work as well as I'd like, but I get a bit of sleep, and then in the morning, before the flight lands, which is our morning, but is like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Texas time, I watch Teen Titans, because I'm like, you know what, this will be fun, because I love Teen Titans. Anyway, so I think it's Teen Titans versus Titans. Anyway, so then I get off the plane, obviously, go through immigration in Houston, and then go outside and think, oh, I'll see if I can order a ride share. But here's the thing, I don't have my eSIM set up again, even though you should know after the last time I should have it set up already, because I know how it works now. No, it's because the coverage in the Melbourne International departure lounge is so bad, I can't get a connection, so I can't set it up because it's so bad. So then I leave and I don't have my eSIM set up. So I land in Houston, I'm like, well, I can't get a ride share, I have to get a taxi. And having had not ideal taxi experiences from when we got into Boston, and then also when I got into San Francisco, I was like, man, I really don't want to get a taxi. Anyway, I go outside and I ask the man who's giving directions, and let me tell you, a little power for accent when you're overseas, right? I hear him talking to people and they're asking questions like, keep going, you're down to that zone, blah blah blah. He's just pointing at him, and then I go to him in my, what I believe is a regular Australian accent, excuse me, do I need to go into that zone if I also want to get a taxi? And then he turns to me, he's like, oh no, you see where that man is crossing the road there? That's where you need to go. So if you just follow him there and they'll let you through and everything. I was like, oh, all right, thank you. And then he went like this, woohoo, take me with you. That's what he actually said. Just from my voice, anyway. Obviously it didn't sound like this, but anyway, I just thought it was funny because that is the power of the accent. And you'll probably know this anyway. Sometimes you meet someone who, in a normal circumstance, you would be like, meh. But when they've got an accent, you're like, meh. It's different, right? Anyway, so then I arrive in Houston, obviously. It's Friday night, just by the way. It's like not quite 11 o'clock. We're in downtown. We're on the 7th floor too. It's pretty loud for the 7th floor, hey? Yeah.
It's awful.
That's just gotten heaps louder. Hey, Gabriel, you don't get in the shot. Your pyjamas in the shot.
Ooh.
What is it?
He's got flame backfiring out of the back of his car.
Yeah, that's definitely better than just doing a burnout and ruining your tyres. Although probably pretty expensive in this climate, I would suggest. Pretty expensive to use fuel like that. Anyway, so I check into this same hotel. Oh, that taxi driver ends up being great. He's fine. He doesn't really talk a lot, but you don't need to talk, right? I'm going to see if I can get some footage. Hang on. Are they still there? Or are they going? Oh. I think I might have to have done a little snip there and cut out Mum's pyjamas.
Oh.
That's fine. I mostly covered you with my big head, but anyway, if I haven't, obviously I'll just snip it out. It's fine. Anyway, no, it's funny. Anyway, so that taxi driver, he's really nice. When we get close to Minute Maid, because I know Minute Maid is near the hotel, I'm like, oh, is that the stadium? He's like, yeah. So they play baseball. Anyway, then we start having a bit of a chat. It's quite pleasant. And then, yeah, he drops me off and everything's fine. Pay with cash, with my tip, everything's fine. It worked out heaps better than every other experience we've had with the taxi driver dropping us off at the first hotel. So I check in, everything's fine. And I get in my room though, and I see that my room has a connecting door to the suite next to me. Suite. To the room. Obviously I'm not in a suite. We've met. Anyway, then I open it. It's unlocked on my side. And I'm like, what the hell? Anyway. And I don't know if their door's locked or not, because there's no handle there, right? So I can't open their door to see if it is unlocked. And so I'm like, how does this work? How is this secure? Anyway, so what I do is I put my suitcase on the suitcase holder in front of the door, like a Home Alone style security device to protect me. And it was only after I was telling Mum this story that I was like, yeah, there was no handle on their side. And then I was like, wait, there was no handle on my side either. So they wouldn't, even if their door was unlocked like mine was, they would be able to unlock it, but there's nothing there. They can't open the door on my side from their side, the same way that I can't open it from theirs. And I guess that's how it works, right? That if you're in adjoining rooms and you want to speak to each other, you open the door and knock on it, be like, yoo-hoo, or, you know, Schitt's Creek style, just keep the doors open. But anyway, I didn't figure that out until I was explaining the story to her. But in my defense, you know, I had been traveling for a little bit by then. Anyway, so then the next day, I have to get up reasonably early to get a bus from Houston to Dallas. And I get a bus because it's only like 4 or 5 hours. It's pretty cheap. It's in the middle of the day, and really by the time I get to the airport, go through TSA, check all my stuff in, you know what I mean? And then land and then have to come back in. It's not really going to be that much quicker. It's definitely going to be more expensive, but it's not going to be that much quicker because of the travel time and the waiting around time. There's no waiting around on a Greyhound. I mean, that's what makes it like desirable and undesirable, is that anybody can get on the bus as long as you've got a ticket. You don't need ID, you don't need nothing. You just pay for the ticket and you can get on. So it is a pretty uneventful trip. I go past a Buc-ee's sign and she tells us we're going to be stopping soon, and I'm like, God, I hope it's at a Buc-ee's. Anyway, we don't. We stop at a couple of different servos. I get a coffee at one because I had a shake for breakfast, and then we stop at another one that has fried chicken, but really I just want a biscuit because I like biscuits anyway. So I get a couple of chicken tenders and a biscuit, and it was pretty good. I'd say that was my lunch, brunch, whatever you want to call it. And then I arrive in Dallas, and you'll see what happens in the Dallas video. But that is the journey from Adelaide to Dallas over I don't know how many hours, and some of the limited preparation I did to that. Also, I didn't bring any of my vitamin D tablets that I have, any other supplements. I didn't bring anything. I did bring these Tim Tams. A couple of different varieties. Well, 4 different varieties actually. Bought them for my cousins, my mum's nephews. Just that's what fit in the bag. There was a 5th packet, but I was like, it's not going to fit in my case. Also, I got I bought some tea bags over for Lynn, and when I took them out of my bag, I was like, excellent, this will give me some space, because the tea bags, they were only like this big. Anyway, you'll see that I got more stuff in Dallas than just that, so these biscuits cannot go back into my suitcase. There's no room for them. And I'm going to be pulling out the duffel bag at some point, just because I've bought goods Not because I bought heaps of clothes over here, but just because I bought things. Alright, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Alright, love you, miss you, bye.